able to make the meeting this morning. So we are deeply saddened at the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, and our thoughts and condolences are with the royal family and all those who will mourn her passing. As the longest serving monarch in British history, our much loved Queen lived a life of incredible service, providing inspirational leadership and a sense of consistency throughout her 70 years on the throne. So we will make a start if that's okay with everyone. I'm just going to, I think Stacey started recording for us, so thank you very much. So our agenda today, as I said, is very packed and very busy. So I'm going to do some introductions for the team that's here. We then have a recording of Maeve McAnally and she talks about her careers in play therapy. Then Dawn Newman and Magda will join us to go through Skills Miner, which is an app that we have on our Cash alumni. And then Preeti from Montessori Centre for International will talk to us about the work of the early years educator within a Montessori setting. Stacey and Peter will go through the careers toolkit with you. And then Selena is here and also Isabel, and they will be talking about supporting and contributing to students' growth. Angie will then do a rundown around the National Teaching Assistant Day, which is tomorrow. And then Virginia Brown will be joining us, and Stacey will be, it'll be sort of an interview type session, really. I'm sure it'll be very interesting. Unfortunately, Janet has been called away to an external meeting, so she won't be joining us until later in the morning, but she will be doing a little bit around, obviously, careers and progression within the education and childcare sector. We'll then have our panel discussion and a chance for you to ask questions, and then we will close at around about 12 o'clock. So obviously you can see Stacey, Angie and myself, but I would like to do some formal introductions if that's okay. So Janet King is our Education and Childcare Sector Manager, and Janet has worked in this sector for many years. She'd hate me to tell you how many. She has, however, been working with Cash and NCFE for the last 12 years, and her sector knowledge is amazing. Janet shares her knowledge widely, and I personally have learned so much from her over the years. Stacey is our early years childcare subject specialist. Stacey has a very varied career, but always within the sector. She's not only extremely knowledgeable, but also qualified to the hilt and a genuinely lovely person. Angie Rogers is our teaching and learning subject specialist. Angie is the new girl within our team, having been with us for around a year. Angie has great knowledge around current ways of working, having only recently come out of a college setting. So her knowledge is really useful for us. And I'm Karina Pulteney-Shaw, and I've worked with Cash and NCFE for the past 13 years. And my knowledge has grown dramatically in that time. I've picked up so much in my time here. My role is to ensure that a clear understanding of the qualifications in the NCFE portfolio that touch the Cash brand. Also, I make sure I'm as up to date with the challenges that face our sector and work with the team to find solution. And I feel very lucky and privileged to be part of this team. So I will take you forward, and Angie, would you like to introduce Maeve? You're on mute, Angie.
Good morning, everybody. A warm welcome, and it gives me great pleasure to kickstart our conference with a wonderful presentation from Maeve McNally, a director of play therapy based in Helston, Cornwall. Maeve will discuss her role in play therapy, which is a form of psychotherapy supporting children and young people with their emotional literacy, behaviour and mental health. She is truly passionate about her role, and I'm sure you will be inspired from her talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm going to stop there. It appears that some people can't hear Maeve speaking, unfortunately. Let's see and see what's going on with that. I've definitely got it on share computer sound, and I know that our team within NCFE can hear, but I'm not quite sure why there's an issue. You can hear, Sarah. Ah, okay.
Karina, I can hear you too. I'm joined as a guest, much like our student and staff guest as well. So perhaps it's an issue with people's individual settings on their devices, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah, because lots can hear Karina, so I think it
Yes,
must
okay.
be.
If we continue, Karina, and then what we can do is put the link in for Careers Toolkit, where this is also available on YouTube. So if you do miss the short speech, then you can just catch up on it later, and I'll put the link in there for you now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, so there we go. Maeve is an extremely inspirational person to listen to, and I'm sorry that there was some issues, but we will make sure that you do get your the recordings as you need them. So I am going to move on now and introduce Dawn and Magda. I'm hoping that they're both here.
It's just me. Magda's actually on annual leave today, so it'll be me talking through Skills Minor, which should make it a little bit quicker if we're not trying to share between the two of them.
Lovely. So just as a little introduction, you know, Dawn will go through Skills Minor and it can help you find your next role, figure out your next CPD, and set up your salary expectations using powerful AI. I'll hand over to Dawn.
Thanks. Can somebody give me permission to share my screen so that I can show people around Skills Minor?
Stacey will do that for you.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by showing you where you can find Skills Minor. So give me 2 seconds while I get that open for you on the screen. You should now be able to see the main Cash Alumni homepage. If you ever need to go to Cash Alumni, you can find that at cashalumni.org.uk. It's there up here. And if you hover over careers on the Cash Alumni homepage, you'll see all of the stuff around careers articles, careers advice, where you can get advice from a careers advisor, and some general recruitment stuff if you're looking for staff. But at the minute, I think we'll probably be concentrating on these two here. And if you don't want to talk to someone, because that can be really off-putting, there is this thing called Skills Minor, which is what I'm going to show you around today. And when I first heard about Skills Minor, as a careers advisor, I thought it sounded like it was entirely too good to be true, because there's no way a robot could do what I got paid to do for a living. But then I tried it, and I really love Skills Minor. It's everything that I thought I should be as an advisor, but everything I also would like to have had access to while I was an advisor. And I'll explain a little bit about why as I go through. When you get to the Skills Minor sign-in page, you can join if you haven't joined before, and joining Skills Minor is free for anybody who can navigate to it through the Cash Alumni website, because we pay for Skills Minor on your behalf. So you can put your details in there, you can sign up for an account, and then once you've got an account, you can click at the bottom there to be able to sign in. So when I sign into Skills Minor, you can see what the information is that it's going to tell you. And we'll give the a little bit to load. It'll say welcome to you for the first time. It's telling me welcome back because I've been here before. And it's telling you a little bit about what it can help you with. And what's really cool about Skills Minor is it's not matching you to jobs based on like you having to go out and figure out what you're good at or what you're interested in, because how can you know what you're interested in if you haven't come across it before? I'm 36 years old and I've done loads of different jobs and I haven't found all of the things that I'm interested in yet, but Skills Minor is really good at being able to say, this is who you are as a person, this is the stuff you've come across before, and this is what you might be interested in the future. So when we click Let's Go, the first thing that you do when you're talking to Skills Minor is you talk to a little chatbot, and the Skills Minor chatbot's dead friendly. It'll even tell you like what the weather is where you are at the minute and make a little bit of general conversation with you as it goes through and asks you some questions. It isn't a real person, it is a robot. You can feel safe telling it anything you need to. No one's sitting judging you, which is one of the really nice things about it, is that nobody's going to pull a face if you tell it what you want to do for a living. And you tell it about all of these things. So the first time you go through it, it'll take you through these questions. I'm just going to click on one that we can play with and add some stuff to. So it's going to ask us about what I've done before. And I'm going to tell it that I've done a master's degree because that's my highest level of qualification. And then I can say all good. And what you can do is you go through everything. It'll ask you what jobs you've done before, if you haven't done jobs, or the jobs that you've done have been like shorter term. You can also make sure that you cover things like if you've done a placement at college, that's work experience. So that sort of stuff where you've been in a work environment and you've gotten skills from that working environment, tell the little chatbot that you've done it. That might be that you are like you do stuff at a football club, or babysitting, or you're doing stuff in your local area where you're getting involved in clubs and things. Tell it what the equivalent job title is of the thing that you're doing for free, and it'll count those skills in that thing. And then what you'll see is it'll bring you some stuff up. These promoted vacancies, you can usually ignore them in terms of a match. They're not the best match for you. They're ones that people have paid to be at the top. Same as if you get your Google results, you skip through the ones that are adverts at the top, because who knows how good a match they are. When you come down to these and you can see what your skills matches against these jobs, you can see, you know, based on the stuff that you've done before, what is your skills match? Obviously, my skills match is probably not relevant to you because I'm not an early years or a childcare professional, because that's not what I do. I run a website that's designed to help early years and childcare people, which is why it showed me boring jobs like this. But yours would be closely matched to what you've done and what you were interested in. What's also cool about Skills Miner is that you don't have to just look for stuff that you have a skills match in. This can be particularly useful if you're at a career crossroads. So for example, if I now decided that I was bored of what I was doing and I wanted to do something, to be fair, because of the things I'm interested in, probably much more boring, or something that was entirely different, you can click on interest. And what it'll do is it'll actually look at the things that you're interested in, and it'll suggest completely different jobs. I've never had anything to do with eyes. I don't know why it thinks I would be interested in it, but according to who I am as a person and the things I'm interested in, it's pointing me in a different direction here. So they are things that you might want to explore and have a look at in more detail as a career path. You can also be interested and matched on your styles. Where this works the opposite way around is that because employers, if you tick the little box that says you want to opt in, employers can find you in areas like health and social care and early years education, where at the minute there are more jobs than there are people who are qualified. It might be that you can be matched to jobs by employers who are actually looking for the right person rather than the right skill set, because there might be training available once you start to get you to where you need to be. So once you get your first qualification, actually, you can get in there and you can get in without necessarily having the work experience to back it up, because actually you can match on all the things that you're actually passionate about and the way that you work instead. Along the top, there's some extra stuff to help. So down this right-hand side, as well as the jobs on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, you've got careers. So these are things that you might be interested in exploring long-term. Skills matches might be things you've done before. I'm currently an online community manager, and I used to be a career guidance tutor. We've talked about those things already. But there's some styles and some interest scores here, and you can look at careers you might be interested in that aren't things that you've done before, and things that match. Maybe things that you didn't realise existed or things you were interested in. Maybe I want to be a furniture designer, and I can look at the training that's available to help us become a furniture designer, because the person I am, the type of way that I work matches it really well. It looks like I'd be fairly interested in it. There's some resources, so I can click on this and I can see some stuff about furniture design and explore that as a career a little bit. And if I watch these videos, I get some coins, which I'll show you a little bit more about in a second. And then there's other stuff along here, so you can look directly for jobs in that area, or you can look at some courses which are actual qualifications that are on the Ofqual register, so regulated qualifications, maybe like the one you're doing at the minute, that would get you to where you need to be. They're also along this top bit. And then there's some online courses which are non-regulated courses from a platform like Coursera or FutureLearn, all of those online learning places where you can pay to take a course just for information or to help you to get more skills in that area. So on the top, you've got missions. And again, every mission you do, you collect some coins, and they all show on your profile over here. So you can up your level and you can collect as many coins as you want to climb the levels, but you can also find out some really cool stuff about yourself. So you can see down here what sort of things it's telling me I should be looking for 40 grand. I'm more than up for that. You can have a look at all of these things down here, and then you can look at your work styles, and you can look at that information about yourself as well. So you can have a look at how complexly you can work. You can have a look at how your accuracy levels are, what your learning is, your responsiveness, all of these different things you can find out about yourself. What is your interest style? Are you a doer? Apparently I'm not. Are you a creator or a crafter? Are you a facilitator? Do you like to help other people do things? And you can have a look and map all of these things out and work them out yourself. Right at the bottom, there's some stuff around the skills. So you can have a look at these skills, and if you update those, you can use those sliders to see how good you are or not good you are at these skills, and you can make this a little bit more accurate than it is naturally. These skills have come from those previous experiences and that interest stuff and the stuff that the chatbots picked up about you, and they're attached. They come from like database online, so If you're not sure what your skill set is, you can put in those things that you've done, and it can tell you what the skills are to be able to do that job, or to be able to have done that placement or that bit of experience. You have to have these skills, and then you can play with how confident you are about all those different things. And that is Skills Miner. Does loads of stuff. But if you do have any questions, or you want to find out more about Skills Miner, or you're using it and you get stuck, then please feel free to send us an email at Cash Alumni. So you can send an email to alumni@cash.org.uk, and then we can give you a hand. And if you need it, we can then hook you up with a careers advisor from CareerWave who can give you some independent careers advice as well. Is that all right?
That's amazing, Dawn.
Brilliant.
So interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't
love it.
realise all that happened on that one website. I think I need to sign up for myself. It's fantastic.
It's amazing. It's really, really good. It teaches you loads of mint stuff about yourself and helps you to really understand where your skills come from. So then when you're in an interview, you've got that as well. You know, when someone says, oh, well, you've said here that you're resilient, or that you're able to do this thing, like, when have you demonstrated that? You can go, well, actually, in this job and this job, I could demonstrate those skills, and this is how I've applied them, because you've got that information, and it tells you where they came from and where you can show that they existed. Love it.
Brilliant. Very good. Thank you very much, Dawn. I'm not
Thanks
sure
very
if there's any questions in the chat at the moment.
No questions at the moment, but Harriet has very kindly put the link to Skills Miner in there for you to have an explore of. Yeah, I just think it's so good for self-awareness and just reflecting on who you are, because I think often at this time when you're trying to choose which route to take, and there's so many, that's so useful. I wish I'd have had that when I was trying to make my decisions at the end of college. Thank you, Dawn.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Dawn. Right. I'm just going back into the presentation. Please bear with me one moment. So yes, thank you very much, Dawn, and please do take a look at Skills Miner and take a look at Cash Alumni if you haven't done so already. It is an excellent platform and such useful information stored within it. So please do have a look. So we'll move on now to have a chat with Preeti. So Preeti works for the Montessori International, and she is the head of education. And she's going to talk to us today about early years educators in Montessori settings. So thank you, Preeti. I'll hand over.
Thank you very much. Welcome to everyone who has joined the conversation today. As I've just been introduced, my name is Preeti Patel. I'm Head of Education at Montessori Centre International at the moment, but in my previous life, I was an early years educator and worked in early years for 15 years as a manager of a daycare setting, as well as being an early years teacher. So when I was asked to sort of talk about working as an early years educator in a Montessori setting, I was very, very thrilled. So I hope I can share some insight with you today. I'm just going to share a PowerPoint with you just to give you something to look at rather than to look at me, really. And take you through that. Okay, so for those of you who are sort of thinking about becoming an early years educator or trying to make choices, if I was to ask you today to think about this and list what you consider to be the role of an early years educator, you might come up with a list like this one: teaching children, keeping record of children's progress to share with parents and other carers. You might say creating fun and educational activities for children under your care. Building and maintaining relationships with parents and other carers to facilitate the daily learning and care of children. Or you might think, your role is about creating an environment that meets the needs of the children by considering their cultural and medical needs, perhaps. Some of you might sort of say my role would be about adhering to the policies in my setting and, as well as other legislative requirements relating to childcare. You might say, my role is about providing support to other colleagues. Some of you might say, my role is about advising the safeguarding officer or nursery manager about concerns that I might have. And many, many more. I mean, this list is not exhaustive, but this just sort of covers some of the aspects of the role of the early years educator. Now, having been an early years educator, I know there are a multitude of roles which you will never find in a job description, and you might not have even considered, nose wiper, for example. Nobody puts that in a job description. Or talks about being a counselor, perhaps, or a storyteller. Maybe they do. Now, some of the roles that you might think about or might not have thought about would be specific to certain children, or perhaps they would be applicable to all of the children. Now, the role of an early years educator is a very, very wide one, and the remit is wonderful. So I think maybe some of you would say, how is this, role different in terms of being a Montessori educator rather than just being termed as an early years educator? Now, the key statutory requirements are exactly the same. So what's the difference, you might ask? And this is where the change is. So the Montessori philosophy and pedagogy's main aim is to help each individual child to reach their full potential in an environment that is specifically prepared to meet the child's needs and interests by following a term called following the child. And this is always an interesting term, I find, because when I mention the word following the child, it doesn't mean, allowing the child just to do whatever they want to do or to, behave in any which way that they want to, because sometimes that's this misunderstanding around Montessori pedagogy. But rather it's an acknowledgement that, a child has their own pattern. And the key to understanding this is observation. So one of the key roles of a Montessori educator is about observation. And, the practitioners observe the children in the classroom and they prepare the environment. But their role then changes. They're not directing or leading the children's learning in a particular way. So it takes the word, teaching out of the conversation, but it's more about directing children's learning and facilitating children's learning. And this sort of fits in very nicely with, the key sort of features of a Montessori environment. So the Montessori environment, scaffolds the key is scaffolded by the key fundamental principles of creating a favorable environment by having what we call the work cycle in which the children are able to engage in their own way, in their own time, by providing an environment which is sort of vertically grouped, so the children are supporting each other's learning, and then the empathetic practitioner or the educator being there to support all of these key features. Now, the key principles of Montessori education are very much about supporting the child as an active learner, respecting the inner life of the child, trusting the child's inner motivation, and providing freedoms within limits. That's a really scary word, actually, for a lot of people, providing freedoms, because for most people that means giving up control. And surely being a teacher is all about controlling things. But, we know when we over control certain things, it sort of takes away from really offering children opportunities to learn. So whilst this is a scary thing, it's really about sort of facilitating those freedoms within a prepared environment, within set boundaries that are agreed with children, and really offering them opportunities for learning, and really sort of encouraging that child's inner discipline to start developing. Now, the adults are an integral part of this nurturing environment that's designed to facilitate the Montessori motto of following the child. So when I was thinking about, how do I put what the role of the Montessori educator is in a nutshell, it was sort of challenging because, the role is quite all-encompassing, really. But I think the key terms I would sort of use is, you would be a facilitator, a guide, a support rather than a teacher within the teaching environment. You would be somebody who facilitates and provides and prepares the environment so the children can reach out and really create their own learning opportunities. think the key role in order to be able to do this is about observing and recording, because that's what sort of really sort of helps you understand the child and understand what they need. Have up-to-date knowledge. Now, having up-to-date knowledge about what? There's a huge remit here, having up-to-date knowledge about the statutory requirements, having up-to-date knowledge of research around children's learning and development, having up-to-date knowledge about changes in how children learn, etc., etc. Again, a very sort of wide remit. But also being very clear and understanding the Montessori philosophy and the principles and the materials. And some of you might be familiar with these materials. For you, this might be something new. But the key thing that the Montessori educator needs to do first is to put the child at the center and put the child first and really truly follow them. And then really be open to be reflective and to be continuously learning. As a Montessori educator, I'm a real advocate in lifelong learning, and not lifelong learning just for children, but lifelong learning for us as educators. So that will only come, through that reflective process. Now, in the presentation before, you were sort of encouraged to look through, a website that would sort of highlight and identify some of your skills and, areas of development. But that also comes with reflection, getting to know yourself, getting to understand yourself. So that's a key part of being a early years educator in a Montessori setting. And for me, Montessori educators have the opportunity to really influence children's lives by giving the best of themselves to the children so that our future can really flourish. It's very hard to sort of really just give you a very quick snapshot of what, being a Montessori educator is in a Montessori setting. The remit, as I said, is wide, but I hope it sort of gives you a little bit of a flavor. And, the training that's now available through, has been available through NCFE in terms of developing, that expertise is part of that journey. So I hope, you'll be sort of looking at that course as an option as you move forward. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. I'm sure, details will be shared with you on that one. Thank you.
Pretty, thank you so much. It's very interesting to see how it all slots together, really. That obviously the early years educator standard is met throughout the Montessori philosophy as well. So yes, very interesting. Thank you. Did anyone have any questions for Preeti at all? No, not at the moment. If you think of anything that you'd like to ask, then do pop it in the chat and then we can pick those up for later on today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to hand over to Stacey and Peter now. So Stacey's going to navigate through our fantastic careers toolkit. And Peter, I think, will be the technical side of things, and Stacey will talk about the content. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Karina. We are so excited today, not only for the student conference, but also for the launch of our new sparkly, beautiful education and childcare careers toolkit. So originally the idea came sort of November 2020 and we launched the careers toolkit in February 2021 with a real sort of aim and ideology that we had this space where there was lots and lots of inspirational stories, different places to gather information about what you want to do with your career, and to really celebrate and raise an awareness of the diverse occupational roles in education and childcare. And we also wanted on there, because we are very ambitious and bold here at NCFE, we also wanted a place where you could continue your professional development. So we wanted somewhere where you could delve a little bit deeper into some of the subjects that you're covering on your courses, but also once qualified, you'd got somewhere to go to have a look at different CPD that you could just carry on being inspired by, and really keeping your practice up to date, and making sure that you're the best version of yourselves for the children and families that you are working with. So that's sort of the idea behind that. And today we're relaunching with our new branding and with lots more content, to come as well. So we'll share the link with you, but I am just going to firstly share this wonderful tool that Peter has so kindly listened to our thoughts and ideas that have sometimes been a bit vague and sometimes been a bit blue sky thinking, and just brought it to something that's just wonderful. So here we are. I feel like we need a drum roll or some sort of music, but here is our education and childcare career toolkit. And on here, you will find right at the top the CPD carousel, and this is where you can explore the resources to continue your professional development or to support teaching and learning in the classroom. If you are teachers that are on the call right now, there's lots that you can tap into here in different themes, and I'll come back to CPD carousel in a second because I firstly want to just take you through what is inside our careers toolkit. So there is a section that is all about T-levels. So in there, you'll find progression route maps, and you'll find everything that you need to know about the education and childcare T-level. You'll also find the next to that, a DFE career pathway map. And on this map, which Janet will be going through with you later, there's lots and lots of different routes that you can take in education and childcare. And it's really a very clear route, a clear map of where you can go and the sorts of things that you can do and the sorts of qualifications that you can take. And then we have an in conversation with, and I'm just going to click on this to show you that we have a series of podcasts and videos that are in conversations with different professionals, very much like you've seen today in some of the conversations that we've had. So we have right here at the top, which it was a wonderful conversation to have, a conversation with Dr. Eunice Lumsden, who looks at the first 1,001 days, and she really talks about, with passion and enthusiasm, baby development and how to support parents and families through that. We also have the Early Childhood Graduate Practitioner Competencies, which is a conversation with the staff from the University of Wolverhampton, one of which you're going to be speaking to today as well. We also have a conversation with staff from Busy Bees. So that again talks about the different occupational roles within Busy Bees as an organisation. And we've got various other ones that will be joining that in conversation with soon. Then we have technical qualifications for your next step. So there's some support there for higher education through the higher technical qualifications. We have the inspirational and aspirational stories, which is different professionals who do completely different roles, telling you about their career journey so far, which if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not really sure what I want to do with my education and childcare qualification, I'm really not sure where to go, this is a great place to start to see the sort of diverse roles that are out there. So at the moment, we've got a childminder, we've got the lovely Maeve that we've heard from today, who's a play therapist. We have a teaching assistant, and again, we've got lots and lots more coming to be added to that, and we will be doing our conversations as well as a team. We also have Cash Alumni, which you've been taken through today. So if I scroll back up to the top, I can't see any comments or questions at the moment, ladies. So if anybody does ask that on our team, then please let me know. So in your CPD carousel, you can explore all the resources that are here. They are very nicely broken up into themes. So one of the ones that you might be interested in, for me to just take you through, is the Early Years Foundation stage. So this is a series of webinars that cover what the EYFS is, how it impacts on our practice, and it takes you through the prime areas, the specific areas, and it also looks at characteristics of effective teaching and learning as well. So if I just click on that for you, our aim is to really make sure that we're being very inclusive with your learning styles. So we have webinars, we have podcasts. So if you want to watch, if you want to listen, but we've also got some reading as well to for you to download and have a look at different articles. So that's all there for you. Very clear for you to click onto and be able to explore for the EYFS. And the other themes that we currently have are working with babies effectively, sustainability. We've got lots around mental health and well-being, communication and language, working with families effectively, physical development, SEND, and that is going to just grow and grow because we've got lots of content that we want to be added to that. And we've also got our student conferences that are coming up. So like today, we have one on every term, but we've also got our past student conferences. So it might be that you want to have a look at those and just pick out some of the speakers that might support you in your continuing professional development. And then right at the bottom there, we've got our upcoming webinars. And if you do click on that, it will download the Word document for you to be able to click onto and join our free CPD webinars that are coming up that will be live. So you'll be able to ask us questions at the end about all of those. The first one that is coming up is all about creativity. So that will be really interesting, and we'll have a podcast and an article to go with that. Take a breath. I'm so excited about all of this. I'm sure there's lots more that will come to mind that I need to tell you about all of these different things. But I'm just going to pass it over to Peter because I know Peter has a much better way of navigating the website that will probably help you. Thanks, Pete.
Stacey. I think you've covered it very comprehensively there, but just a few things to add from my perspective. Yeah, first of all, it's great to see this brought to life, and we really hope it's going to be of a huge kind of help to the people on this call today. So just to flesh out a few of the things that Stacey talked about in terms of the content and the material that's on there. First of all, yeah, as Stacey mentioned, we've approached this with a multimedia perspective. We know people don't want to just read endless documents. So we've really made a big effort to include a mix of media styles there, including videos, podcasts, and written pieces as well. Where possible, we've embedded those into the page. So there's YouTube videos, Spotify podcasts, and I think there's a few podcasts from a different provider as well, Podbean it may be. And they're actually embedded on the page, so you can play them within those embedded players on the page itself. You don't have to bounce off to different web pages and things. We can only really embed one or two of those on each page, though, otherwise it slows things down. So where there is a link off to YouTube, that'll open in a new tab, or it'll open the app itself if you're using it on your mobile phone. So you'll always have the toolkit open. You will never unknowingly bounce you off it onto another website. So yeah, it's hopefully kind of keeps you on there, keeps you engaged. In terms of navigating around as well, there's various different ways to navigate a website. We noticed Stacey was using the back button there, but what we have got on every page is the quick links there, which you can see on your screen at the minute. So you can always make your way to the home page or to the CPD carousel page. That's likely to be the one that's going to be updated the most frequently with various topics and things, some of which Stacey's touched on. So yeah, we encourage you to bookmark this and revisit it periodically. And as Janet's also put in the chat there, it's free to use as well. So yeah, we hope you get a lot of benefit from it. It's mobile friendly. We know a lot of people browse websites on their mobile phones these days. So we've built it so it works on every device and it's still easy to look at and navigate. Works on tablets, mobile phones, and obviously your desktop devices as well. Got some great content here in terms of meeting the team. Where all of the team give a bit of an introduction to themselves and who they are. And again, you can watch that on the site itself. We don't need to bounce you off to YouTube. We've got the tile menus as well, which kind of Stacey talked about before, which again just make it a little bit more visually apparent as to what you want to engage with, whether it's a video or something else or a written piece. I think that's it, actually. That was all I wanted to cover. One more thing, Stacey, if you don't mind. Harriet, our colleague, has put a link to the toolkit in the chat. Now, it is quite a long URL. You can see there in the URL bar on the screen that's being shared. I thought it would be nice to create a nice, short, easy link for people, which I'm just going to paste in the chat now as well. Our website works without necessarily having to type in the www and HTTPS, which is a bit annoying to actually type out. So I have created a nice short link, which I'm popping in the chat now, which is just ncfe.org.uk/education-childcare-toolkit. So pop that in the chat there now, pop that in the browser, bookmark it, and yeah, very easy to get to, easy to navigate around, and yeah, we hope you enjoy it.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Peter. And I just want to pick up on one more thing because it came back to me as we were exploring all of that, is that if you have got anything that you would like us to explore, any suggestions, and I know Angie's just popped that in the chat as well, great minds, that's why we work so closely together and so well. If you have got any suggestions of themes that you'd like us to cover, then we can always consider those. So pop those into the chat or send us an email so that we can have a look at what we can do. Okay, brilliant. Oh, it's so exciting. And now I have the absolute pleasure, don't I, of passing over to Selena Hall from the University of Wolverhampton. Selena and I actually went to college together, didn't we, Selena?
We did indeed.
That's a long
Not
time
long ago.
So over to you, Selena, and your wonderful student as well.
Thank you. Can I just have access to share the PowerPoint while Isabel's coming online? And before I begin, I just want to say how exciting. All these college learners and staff and whatnot listening in. And I just think September is like our new year, isn't it, in education? You know, and I just get so excited about what you're all going to do next or what you're going to learn along the way this year. And you've just brought all that back to me because my students haven't started yet. I don't have access to share still.
I am frantically trying. It just won't allow
It's
me
okay.
to at the moment.
I'm wondering if Isabel's struggling to get on as well.
Disappeared from my list, Selena. Oh,
Oh,
there you are. There we go.
Oh, she needs to be unmuted.
Yep, I will sort Isabel out. Over to you,
Thank
Selena.
you.
You've got access now.
Perfect. Let's just get used to Teams again. Oh. Oh, that's not my presentation. 1 second. There we go. Oh, where does it?
I think you might need to reshare, Selena.
Yeah, there we go. Should be coming through. Fantastic.
Perfect.
Wait, give Isabel a moment.
Okay, I think I'm on now.
Wonderful. So good morning, everyone. Hello, and thank you to the NCFE team. It is an absolute privilege to be able to be here with you today at this conference. My name is Selena Hall, for those of you who I haven't met yet. And at present, I'm a lecturer of early childhood at the University of Wolverhampton, just going into my second year of this role. My dream vocation, way back when me and Stacey were studying at college, was to be a primary school teacher. But that changed because of all of the wonderful placements I went to and the staff and teams I got to work with and the fantastic children experiences that paved the way that I actually progressed to teaching in a college as a college lecturer for then 15, 16 years before starting this role. I am joined today by my fabulous level 5 student, I can say that now, Isabel Bailey, and I must acknowledge that she has just enrolled at level 5 after having a really successful year at level 4 study as an undergraduate. Isabel and I will have similar experiences to some of you here today, as we are first and foremost, and I, consider myself an early years educator. That's my first and foremost occupation. Our journeys so far have been largely underpinned by our continued enthusiasm and engagement within this exhilarating subject area that is early childhood. So let us now share with you our reflections on the influences and motivations towards a career in early years. Throughout, we'll be focusing on the ways that university study and higher education, with a specific focus on the BA Honours in early childhood studies and how this contributes to that. If I can pass you to Isabel.
Yeah. Can you hear me all right? Yeah, okay. So to begin, I have always been intrigued to work in early years because I believe it provides unique opportunities for me to achieve a goal which will make a difference in children's lives. Working in early years enables so many skills to be developed which will last with you forever. Through going to placement and being a student at college and university, I have found my confidence in working as part of a team and created personal and professional relationships. I never fully understood my own interests when I first left school. However, it was certain that working with children brought me so many aspects of joy and other positive emotions. So as you can see from my slide, when I left secondary school, I decided to study NCFE Cash Level 3 Diploma in Childcare and Education, where I continued to find my love for working in early years. Then I was able to continue my studies at the University of Wolverhampton, where Selena said earlier, I am now about to start my level 5 and second year of the degree. I actually also started placement this week in a new setting, which is an important part of the degree requirements. As I am completing this degree, we are given lots of opportunities to consider what opportunities are there for us when we graduate. I have included some of these on my slide. The central theme for me is that I want to make a difference to every child I possibly can, and I'm always maintaining this mindset.
Thank you, Isabel. And I recall meeting Isabel for the first time, and her excitement and enthusiasm to study shone through. Isabel's group will be the first cohort of students that I get to see from level 4 all the way through to graduation. A very special bunch. And in our modules, Isabel would often be confident, because of her level 3 experience, to share examples, or contribute, or pop a hand up, or shout out, or be part of peer discussions when we were doing our placement module. And what's really aspirational and a little bit different when you come to university is the people that you connect with. Your ideas really evolve. So we build on what you already know, or we look at new learning. And those ideas evolve because you share those experiences with peers that you might not have met otherwise. For example, one of the topics we look at is behaviour. Reward charts, stickers, smacking debate, which you may have looked at previously. And then in a group of students amongst your peers, we find that we have a student similar to Isabel, who's had a debate at college when she was in class and has lots of academic knowledge. We have another student who has little or no experience in an early years setting. We might have someone who has little or no experience but brings their own values and listens and reflects carefully. What we also have is we have quite a lot of international students as well, who share their cultural rules and values and experiences of behaviour, and we have some really good thought-provoking and deep discussions. This results in shared learning. And what you all have in common in this sincere appreciation for children and childhood is this desire, as Isabel said, to want to make a difference. Love and Wenger, a theoretical perspective and term that I really like, and I think we all represent together now, is this community of practice, where we're a group of people, our own little special group, who share this passion for what we do, and we regularly interact. Like today, we engage with each other and we have this desire to improve and do better. Here at Wolverhampton University, we definitely, as staff, also become part of this community. We learn with you, or sometimes you teach us something new. We will prompt and challenge you throughout higher education, and then we hope that you go out and share that externally to continue building on what Isabel said, your love for learning. Just move that slide forward. Okay, and if I can pass you back to Isabel, who is going to explore a little bit further the influences and what influences our choices to work within early childhood.
Yep, that's fine. Hopefully I don't get any more interruptions. So now I'm going to discuss Bronfman Brenner, who created a system that was titled the Ecological Systems Model. Some of you might have heard of this, as I did when I studied my level 3. The Ecological Systems Model includes 5 systems, or what are called the 5 concentric circles. The child is at the centre of these concentric circles, and each of the 5 circles represent different factors which influence the child throughout their life. For me personally, I feel I have experienced influences in the microsystem and the mesmo system, and they have been an influence in my career in early years. The mesmo system focuses on influences such as education and healthcare, which Bronfman Brenner describes as the child's broader surroundings. The role models around me have inspired me to not only continue with my career, but to want to experience more opportunities, for instance, being invited to talk on here today. As every lecturer, safeguarding officer and teaching assistant and social worker I have met throughout my educational studies all bring motivation, skills and knowledge into my learning and practice and allow me to see early years from a different perspective. Back to you, Selena.
Thank you. Really interesting, Isabel. As an audience, I'm certain that this will prompt you to pause and reflect on the influences upon you at this time, maybe the influences that you considered as you enrolled onto your current studies, or going forward as you are considering applying to university and employment. Therefore, I'm sure you can identify and relate to Bronfman Brenner's systems. And Isabel, thank you for sharing your personal experience with us as well. At the University of Wolverhampton, you will be influenced by our values as a university, but also within the School of Education. These are reflective of our slogan that we are the University of Opportunity. In the Early Childhood Studies team, the staff will have specialist experiences, research and knowledge. All of your teachers, probably like the ones now, have worked in some capacity in the sector. Enabling you to not only just understand theories like Bronfman Brenner, but be able to apply them to your experience and to the experiences of working in childhood. Isabel's recently completed a module surrounding child-centred practice within play. We take our learning outside of the classroom, we try our ideas out and we consider the wider context and perspectives. Yes, at university you do have to do lots of research and you do have to read as well. But we ask you to become really actively involved in your learning to reflect the role in practice. And so that when you are influencing children and you are part of a micro or meso system, you can understand the deeper whys and so whats that reflective theory tells us. And then your practice is purposeful and meaningful too.
Yep. So before I started university, I thought my lecture would be the standard sitting at a desk, taking notes and just writing assignments, where actually we have learned in big lecture theatres like the ones you see in pictures, which seem frightening. However, they enable so many great class discussions and so many different ideas. Then the rest of the year, we're in smaller groups, in classrooms, a bit like when you're at college. We have a voice and we have discussions and debates, tasks to complete. We bring our wellies sometimes and go in the forest area and build dens and waterways. So you do really get that practical side of learning at university also as a placement. We plant seeds and we grow things, and sometimes we make fruit kebabs so we can really understand what goes on when the children are doing it and what really happens behind the learning. And one of the times we spent time at our local park, the Arboretum in Warsaw, and this really helped us understand theories such as Montessori and Froebel, and new theories that I didn't know, like Pickler and the curiosity approach.
Oh, thank you, Isabel. You're selling our course well there. Can I just ask you though, Isabel, just thinking about influences, have you got an example that stands out from any of your modules of what's influenced you so far?
Yeah, so while at university, there has definitely been many influences and real life influences which have stood out to me. Referring back to Bronfenbrenner's theory, it also includes how the community and our environment influence us. And on our course, we did a Santa Dash where we raised money for the charity Acorn, and we made food parcels, which I found was really nice and a good experience. And when working with the community, one influence that really stood out to me was when we had a visit from the Black Country Ruins Aid, where we collected toiletries for them, and then they shared different ways we can have a career with children and families who are in vulnerable situations, which I found really interesting and influencing, very inspiring.
Yeah, we were very, very fortunate for them to come in and work with us, and we'll continue that work, won't we?
Yeah.
So thank you, Isabel. And moving on from our influences that are sometimes more personal to us, I'd like to just talk a little bit about motivation. And when I was working in a college for my master's degree, I actually explored that as part of my dissertation, the big dreaded research project that kept me awake. But the motivation's got me through. So along with our reasons for wanting to work with children, we'll also be motivated in ways that are personal to us. For me, as I said, I went to college with Stacey, and she played quite an imperative role in where I am today, actually. Stacey was part of my micro and meso systems, along with my college lecturer, who I remember sitting with me writing that paper application for university. Because at age 16, I did an early years level 3 qualification, but I didn't realise that university was an option for someone like me. So while I was working at McDonald's, doing children's parties on weekends and going to college, my influences and the people around me and my concentric circles and my motivation shifted. And I ended up being, as Isabel is, a BA Honours student of Early Childhood Studies at the University of Wolverhampton with the career goal of wanting to be a primary school teacher. But along the way, like I said, that altered. And I never thought that I would be now teaching on the degree that I actually studied myself. So motivation really does underpin our journey in so many areas of our life. But how does it link to your career journey? You might find that you share some similar motivations to others, but mostly what we do find is it's unique to us and it has this huge contribution to our growth and purpose. If we think about our inner, our intrinsic motivations, the ones that I've probably got Isabel through. No, Isabel doesn't do this, I'm sure, but that assignment the night before when you've got to proofread it still and check it and upload it, you know, that's the intrinsic motivations that get you through. What you might find, like on Isabel's journey, is that intrinsic motivation is the most effective motivator. It's the one that pushes you to decide to go to university or pursue a career in early years because you are excited. You are passionate, and working with children makes you feel good. It's imperative that children have the best outcomes, and this for me is really closely linked to intrinsic motivation, because they need to be surrounded by people like you who have that love and that passion and that excitement. People that are enthusiastic and that are then highly skilled, have a positive attitude, and have what Isabel talked about, Carol Dweck's growth mindset, that strength-based, that positive, aspirational approach.
So on the degree at Wolverhampton, they offer extra opportunities to gain your level 3 early years educator and to be acknowledged as a level 6 in practice. I am doing this as it's embedded in my whole course, and it is called the Early Childhood Graduate Practitioner Competencies, which I think was mentioned earlier by Stacey. This broadens my opportunities, as it means I have to undertake tasks and to show how I am an advocate and how I safeguard and consider children's individual needs, and I am a developing professional. This links with the quote on the slide, as I am self-motivated to do this. It gives me a sense of satisfaction, and like one of our other students has commented, it allows me to use my knowledge from modules discussions with my university friends, guest speakers, and the readings I have undertaken and the conference I have been part of this into practice.
Apologies, Isabel, I was too eager and I moved that slide forward. So what we did is, with Isabel's group of students in their professional practice module, we asked them, why did you come to study this degree at university? And there were about 6 months, it was about January time in the second part of the year. And what we really summarised in our discussions is that when you pursue a career in early years, you gain so much more than knowledge. Your learning is complemented by actually being in practice and in placement. You're working hands-on as part of a team, and in partnership with various early years settings. Not just degree related and early years related, but you also develop what we call those transferable skills, building relationships, personal relationships. University, I think I still lecture, one of the reasons because I'm a little bit envious and I want to do it all again. Professional development, confidence and communication, and then working with others and employability skills as well. We also need to consider this term extrinsic motivator as well, because I must admit that having that photo, when we used to say this many years ago, on the fireplace in Mum's house, cap and gown, I'm very proud that that photo stands tall. And on Saturday was our graduation ceremony for our students who have just completed. The first group of students that I had the pleasure of teaching. And as they were wearing their cap and gown, and they were with their family and friends and peers, and they were walking across that stage, there's a little knot in the throat, and that is an extrinsic motivator for lots of our students. For lots of our students, they're the first person in their family to go to university, like I was. And to see them on that stage, standing proud with their families, whooping and cheering them on, and that's a big motivator. So what I summarise from my time exploring influences and motivators when starting university is that there are, these are key. They're that little missing jigsaw piece that will get you from staying up to write that personal statement that you're probably doing now, to coming into that lecture the first day and making friends, taking a deep breath and talking out in front of others, and then standing on that stage and graduating. Our early childhood studies, I have got a slide with information. I won't do a sell point, but you can study in so many different ways now. So there are different entry requirements, such as we offer a foundation year, or coming in at BA Honours Early Childhood Studies at level 4. You can study part-time, full-time. And we have students who have gone on to the most exciting careers. Some students have utilised their degree, and then we get comments that they are the best primary school teachers because they have that underpinning knowledge. Some students have used their degree but then altered their pathway slightly, such as one of my students who is now working in the police force, and the skills that they have and they can take to work with these vulnerable children who, you know, when their first call of first person these children meet in a very scary, worrying situation, they can apply the skills they've learned. Primary school teaching, we've got students who've worked at Camp America this summer in special educational needs. Play therapy is very popular at the moment, and we're just building relationships for placements for our students in that sector as well. You might want to go on and do your master's degree as well. Working with ex-offenders is another strand too, and charities, of course, as Isabel mentioned. Not only is Wolverhampton Uni the University of Opportunities, but early childhood studies is the course of opportunities, isn't it?
Okay, so thank you for having us. And what is there to take away from today's session? Well, in early years, we are a community and a unique body of people who all have things, children and childhood in common. We are all good at different things, and in early childhood, it is about how together we can utilise and bring this together and then offer the best outcomes for children. You are future professionals and influencing the future generation. I have learned that it is really important to keep asking questions, keep learning and keep being curious. On behalf of Selena and I, thank you for taking the time to listen today, and we look forward to answering any questions you may have during the panel later on.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I found that extremely interesting to understand all the different routes that there are and how you can achieve what you want to achieve at the end of the day. So it's really very, very good. Thank you. And Selena and Isabel will stay with us for our panel session a little bit later. So if you have questions, then of course, keep those tucked away ready for that meeting. Thank you. So we are going to move on now to Angie, and Angie is going to present for us. And talk about, I'll just wait for the PowerPoint to come back up, sorry. And she's going to talk about the National Teaching Assistant Day, which is tomorrow. So I have put you a couple of slides in, Angie, that just go through where the information that you gave to me. So I'll hand over to Angie now. Thank you.
Brilliant. And I just wanted to say my thank yous to Selena and Isabel, because that was truly inspiring and you packed so much in there. So thank you ever so much for that. So I don't know how many of you know that it's National Teaching Assistants Day tomorrow, but I thought this would be a great opportunity to be able to celebrate it. There's an opportunity for schools during this period to nominate TAs for a specific award in recognition of the outstanding contribution that they make. And if it was me, I'd find that a really hard job because they'd all get one. They'd all get an award. Now, I know that there's many, because I've seen it in the link, that some of you are on the T-level qualification. And I don't know, maybe some of you have decided to take that assisting teachers route. And it's important for us to be able to see the TAs as subject support specialists, whose role is far more than just assisting the teacher. They instinctively recognise and support the holistic needs of all children and young people, and they really ignite the children's love for learning. And I've worked in many schools where I've actually seen the passion that comes from those individuals. So I've created, and we couldn't obviously show it on here, but it will be available on the Careers Toolkit, a 5-point star in a way that represents a way to recognise and value the work that the TAs do. So in recognising the role that they do, they need to have that recognition for the outstanding professional support that they intuitively offer. And as I said, with a sense of passion. We need to value the work that they do, informing and influences public perception around the value of TAs within the education system. and raising the pros of the specialist roles that they play, highlighting the professional interaction and focused, skillful intervention that they can bring to that learning environment and to those individuals, not just to the children, but also to the families as well. So moving on and looking at the respect, we need to show TAs the respect that they deserve. Many of them, and I'm sure you're aware of this, that hold a range of different experiences. Now, whether that's having a qualification, whether at different levels, from level 3 or above, it's really pivotal that we create this awareness and focusing on the needs and the supports that they offer to particular children. And that could be for their mental health and well-being, or it could be towards a particular area of SEND. So we need to make sure that we support them. And how can we do that? Well, it's important to understand that a shift in the cultural landscape and mindset of those within the educational sector will really support the move for policy change in raising the profile of TAs, because we know that financially that they don't do it for the money. They do it because they love the job. They want to be part of that child's journey. So providing opportunities for further qualifications and training through CPD will allow TAs to have the knowledge, to have the understanding, have the support that they can have, the tools that they need to support those children. And this really should reflect what's going on in today's world, particularly following COVID. So let's take this opportunity to really praise and congratulate those TAs who really do found that solid foundation in the education system. And this is something that somebody that I met quite recently described it as, that the TAs are the glue that holds the system together. And without their passion and drive, the system would just simply fall apart. So I'd just like to take this moment now to congratulate all those teaching assistants in our education system. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angie. It's a definite thing that needs to be recognised. I feel that many of our TAs are overlooked and not valued in the way that they should be. So it's great to have a National TA Day, I think. Okay. So I'm now going to introduce to you Virginia Brown, and Stacey will take this from here. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Virginia. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. It's really, really lovely to see you. Selena talked about in her discussion about connecting and the people that you meet along the way. And Virginia and I met a long time ago when I was an assessor, and so used to go into a lot of Virginia's settings, didn't I, for your before, after and out of school club. So I really appreciate being here, because I know that you will have had to juggle everybody around to make sure that you can be here today. So thank you. Are you okay?
Yeah, just a bit nervous.
Oh, you'll be absolutely fine. And at least you're sitting outside in the sunshine. That's a nice place to be. So I want to start really with telling me about your journey into the education and childcare sector.
Okay, so like Selena, I always wanted to be a primary school teacher as well when I was younger. However, when I got to uni, I thought, if I didn't want to continue doing primary school, what else could I do where I could go back to it? So I thought, early childhood studies, it's got a lot of different avenues that you could go, loads of different paths. So I decided to do the early childhood studies route at university. My daughter actually went to the after school club, which I currently am a day-to-day manager at. So my daughter's obviously gone there. Then I've finished uni, done my degree, done the 3 years, and then once I'd finished, the manager of ACES, that's the company I work for, offered me a job like straight away. So I was like amazed, thinking I've just come out of university straight into a job, and I was given the day-to-day manager role of a setting. And from the one setting, and I went on to doing a breakfast club. We also did wraparound care as well.
So wraparound care is, just to explain to our students, is picking the children up and making sure that they're in the right place at the right time, really, isn't it? And being that go-to person for the children, moving from school to after school club and all of the in between, or if they're doing half days at nursery and things like that. So you have children before school starts.
Yeah, breakfast club.
At breakfast club, and then after school. So that's quite different to some of the speakers that we've had today, and quite different to some of the things that we've discussed on our careers toolkit, actually. So I really want you, would you be able to sort of tell us what a day in the life of an out of school manager looks like? What do you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, so basically breakfast club, the parents would drop their children off. We start from 7:30, and then we are based within the school that the children go to. So in breakfast club, the children will have breakfast with us. They will also just unwind just before they go to school. There will be activities set out for them. There is also circle time games where all the children will have fun sorry, I'm really nervous about
Okay,
this.
you're doing really, really well.
Yeah, so just before the children go into school, we just calm them down. We do like circle time where we talk about how our day's been, how they're feeling, and then we will take them into school from breakfast club. Also after school club, we come in. I will just do risk assessments on the outdoors and indoors. Obviously, the main priority is that the children are happy and safe. There's activities set out in the after school club. Again, the children can choose whether or not to do it. Obviously, they've had a long day at school. Some of the children just want to sit and chill in the quiet area with their friends and have a chat or read a book. Or some of the children that do come into us do ask if we can help with homework, which we're always happy to do. A lot of the children just want to play games with members of staff. They especially like it when they beat the members of staff, especially if I'm playing and they beat me. Again, what will happen is the children will come in, they will sit and do a register. We can have up to 30 odd kids a time. Before we have snack or tell the children about the day, we will get again into a circle, do some circle games, waiting for all the children to come in. Once we've done that, I or another member of staff will do the register. Once the register's been done, the children will then have a snack, and then they can either choose if they want to do the activities that are provided, or if there's something out that they don't want to do, then they'll come and ask a member of staff, and we're more than happy to obviously get it out if we've got it available. They do like outdoor play, so we do tend to try and go outdoors as much as possible. But yeah, so I have to do risk assessments. Obviously, I oversee everything that goes on within my setting. There is other day-to-day managers at other settings. So with my setting, I just ensure that children are safe, happy, that the staff, we would do appraisals on the staff, and we evaluate the day at the end. I'm always open for my members of staff to contribute to any kind of planning. Also, we involve the children, ask what they would like to do. It is very rewarding. I do like it. I do really enjoy the job. I do like the journey that I see the children go on, knowing that we've obviously been there to help support the children.
Can you tell me about a time when you've supported a child or a family? Because as you've said, I mean, you've been working in this role for a long time, and so you've probably seen siblings, you know, the families really well. You've seen them go from reception all the way through. You've seen them leave to go to senior school, some of them as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's a long journey to see them on. So can you think of a time when you've supported a child in particular?
Yeah, so there's a few. There's this one child that's obviously coming from nursery. Child in question, she was really quiet, didn't really speak to anybody. So mom was obviously a bit anxious, thinking, oh, is she going to make friends? Is she going to like come out of her shell? And just to watch her grow and blossom was absolutely amazing. So I would speak with the mom, I would speak with the child, I do one-to-one, and just ask things that she likes to do, And eventually this child is now a chatterbox and we can't stop if I'm talking, but I love it. I just love the growth. Like literally it's just amazing. Like you have to just, it's very rewarding. Obviously
Yeah.
it has its challenging times, but the rewards are outrunning.
Yeah,
We've also
definitely.
got another child. He has some special needs. So one of my team are his one-to-one. We also liaise with the school on what we can do to help with his development and any support that we can provide while the child is in our setting. We will obviously support in any way, and we also liaison with the parents on how to support the child. But yeah, we just try and do whatever we can to help, because obviously parents have to work, and we're obviously there to help the parents and to give the kids like somewhere just to let off steam, because like they've been at school all day. So there's something for them to just enjoy at the end of the day.
That's brilliant. And I've just got to pick up on one of the comments that's come through on the chat, Virginia, because I think you'll really like this and you can pass it on to all of your team. You do such an important job to help support working parents. Knowing my children were so well looked after before and after school meant I could focus on my day job, which was primary teaching, without worrying about my own children's well-being. And that's why you do it, isn't it? That's exactly why you do it.
100%.
So thank you for all of that. I think to round this up, what would you say your top tips are for coming into this sector?
I would say just to stay positive, just to celebrate the moments, enjoy the moments, and just keep learning, because there's always something that new out there. Legislation and guidelines always change. Just keep learning and be yourself, because everyone's unique and everyone's different, and nobody can bring to the table what you bring. Yeah, and just enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. That was fantastic. I'm a bit emotional after today. I'm so inspired and so emotional by all of these conversations. So thank you everybody that has joined us. I'm going to pass over to Janet King now, our sector manager in education and childcare here at NCFE.
Thank you. Thanks, Stacey, and thank you, everybody. I joined the conference a little bit late due to other meetings this morning, and I'm absolutely gutted, because this has obviously been such a wonderful, inspiring, engaging event. So thank you very much to everybody who's come, and I can see that there's people from all across the UK on our call today, which is, it's just such an absolute privilege to be able to reach out to so many people in this way. So that's one plus for the teams. We'll give that a thumbs up if we can't take nothing else from online conferences. We'll take that. So it's made us all connect. And I think one of the things I want to start with, really, as well as the magnificent thanks to everybody who's spoken to us today, and the toolkit, and you know and thank you to Stacey in particular, and Angie and Pete, of course, for the brilliant hard work on that. So from a concept, from an idea, that was just taken and built, and it was just like a magic unfolding before my eyes. So it's a wonderful, wonderful tool, and we hope that can be used you know, with the CPD carousel. There's something on there for absolutely everybody, so please do take some time to look at that at some point. I think there's one thing that kind of connects everybody on this call, and that I took some words from some of the things that have been shared today before we look at the slide, and that is professional. Everybody on this call is now in a professional world. You're in that professional field, and that is so, so important. And to be able to take that and to rise from that and to feel very proud of your professional skills, knowledge and status. I too have a dog downstairs. So if Isabel, if you're still on the call, we're in good company. My dog might start your dog off, but hey ho. So being professional is really, really important, and actually appreciating that and accepting that and rising to that. But what does it mean? So we heard lots of people talk to us in such an inspiring way today, and also the fact that you know you are going to be inspirational. The tutors, the assessors, the lecturers, the teaching staff, the support staff that are on this call today are inspirational to the students. And you as students will be inspirational to the babies, to the young children, and to the families that you will come across in your day-to-day job role. So you're a professional that inspires. I'm building your responsibilities here, but I'm going to keep going. You're also knowledgeable, because when people think about a career in early years in childcare, there's a lot of myth around that public perception. I know that. People on this call know that. But actually, it's the most demanding, and it's a bit of a seesaw, and rewarding job that you will ever do. So you are taking control, if you like, and you're actually having an inspirational change. You've got the opportunity to make change happen, not just in your own life by taking this exciting, wonderful journey, but in the lives of everybody that you come across. You will touch everybody in some way, shape or form. And if you're coming onto the conference now in your first year, whether that's children's care, learning and development, whether you're looking at a diploma in childcare and education, whether you're coming on at level 1, 2, 3 or above, whether you're doing a T level in education and childcare, whatever qualification you're doing, you are going to make a positive difference. And when you actually go into your placement, it can be a little bit scary. So second years, you'll remember that for the first few weeks when you're settling in, and it is quite scary, and so it should be, because you want to make a positive impression, and you're entering a workforce that's incredibly busy. Whether you're going into an early year setting or whether you're going into a school environment, it's busy. There's structure, there's routine. Everybody knows that routine apart from you. So one of the first things that you've got to do is just smile. Just smile. Be approachable, because children will come to you. Children deserve to be with people that want to be there, and you are that person. So remember that whenever you have any of those wobbly moments. Professional, inspiring, knowledgeable, competent. We hear a lot. There's been a lot of talk around skill in the session today, and you will be developing those skills. Really important, and I'm sort of distracted by some of the things on the chat, and I hope that colleagues can bring that into our panel questions later on so that we don't lose that, because they're really good questions and thoughts in there. So having the knowledge to be able to apply that knowledge in unknown situations, wow, that's a massive role, that's a massive responsibility. But you can do it because you're professional and you know what those children need. You will understand each and every one of your children that you are looking, that you're caring for, that you're educating. You'll get to know them incredibly quickly and incredibly well. And that's the most important thing. Building that relationship with individual children is the most important thing, and everything else will follow. Wanting to be there, being professional, being inspirational, applying that knowledge through technique and skill, being competent, and being bold sometimes, being an advocate for that child, being an advocate for that family, working as part of a professional team. So that's even before we start looking at the slides, and those are some of the other slide. That's, you know, some of the things that I picked up from what I was hearing so far on the conference, and those inspirational stories that we've had the privilege to hear. Thinking about progression from the qualification you're doing now, whether that's going on to university and following a similar pattern to Isabel, whether that's going into the workplace and looking at all of those different qualifications and different ways of being able to carry on and continue that professional journey. There's opportunities in both directions that will lead you to wonderful opportunities. So this is not necessarily a stepping stone to higher education. It might be a stepping stone to the next level. You may be going from level 1 to level 2, or from level 2 to level 3, and you might be going from level 3 or a T level in education and childcare onto university or into the workplace. And I just want to say that the opportunities in both of those routes are magnificent and should be celebrated. It's very difficult to see this slide, so I know that you'll be able to find this in our careers toolkit, I believe, and certainly in our Qual Hub pages and as part of this presentation. So if you're looking at this on a great big screen and not a little itsy bitsy laptop screen like me, then you may well be able to see it. And I won't follow necessarily the routes on here, not just because I can't see it, but because I think these things don't always follow a logical path. But having all of those professional skills and thinking, okay, where do I want to work? And that's why placement is so incredibly important, and taking your placement seriously. And from those early sort of nerves and apprehension and anticipation, you'll begin to absolutely flourish and blossom in your placement. And you'll know, oh, don't want to work with babies. Oh, I won't want to work with 4-year-olds. I really want to work with babies. You will know, you will just know, oh, I really want to work in a primary school. I really want to work with children and young people and support with special educational needs and disability. You will know. So enjoy placement and take that side of it seriously in terms of how it might inform your next steps in your career journey. You'll be thinking all the way through your qualification, the different routes, and you may follow that route of education. There are so many different roles. The people that are on the call today have spoke about working in management. They've spoke about working as an assessor, a tutor, a lecturer. They've spoke about perhaps thinking about their different occupations, maybe working within a local authority. All of those things come from the knowledge and skill that you are gaining now in your qualification. So you may decide to spend some time working as a teaching assistant if you were working in schools, or some time working as an early years educator or an early years practitioner as a professional in a daycare setting or an early years setting of your choice. But there are so many different journeys that you can take and so many different occupations that you can go into. And I think education and childcare, whether it's early years, whether it's play work, whether it's working in primary schools or secondary schools and beyond, education is what matters here. And what you are doing right from the very, very beginning is educating. We heard from Preeti and about Montessori and that philosophy today. Different opportunities, different routes. We have, you know, the level 3 full and relevant, and also there's a level 4 in Montessori. So that CPD opportunity for progression is there. There are so many different things to think about in terms of social care and working with children and families from a social care aspect. You may go on to think, actually, I really do enjoy working with parents and families. Maybe you really enjoy the assessing side of it. Maybe you really think, actually, I've got a brilliant assessor, a brilliant tutor, a brilliant lecturer, and I'm inspired by them. Maybe that's the route that you'll take. Maybe you'll become part of the inspection and regulatory framework. We need people like you who understand that sector, how it works, and what the children and young people need first and foremost as part of that process. So, take some time. I'm conscious of that. I've taken a lot of time, but take some time to explore the map. Think about these different roles and think of them with the education and childcare, the careers toolkit, because you'll be able to hear at first hand how people are taking these. Somebody mentioned, I think it was Selena, and one of the students going on to do some work, Camp America, for example. Really important. And also, Isabel, you talked about some charity work. There are so many different ways that you can apply education and childcare, not only to make a difference to yourself, but to make a massive inspirational difference to the children and families you work with. And it starts with you and one smile.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Janet. That was absolutely brilliant, as always. Thank you. I think Janet's probably given you an awful lot to think about. I think that people presume that if you do early years, you go in and be an early years practitioner within a nursery setting, but there is so many different routes for you to look at and to take. Okay, so this is just for you to have a little think about. So what are your key takeaways from today? What will you do next? And what impact do you think that will have? So maybe just jot them down and have a think about these for a later date, and see what you can come up with for your what will you do next. Okay, so I'd like to invite any of our speakers who are still with us to join us for the panel discussion. And if you have questions for any members of the panel, then please do pop them into the notes, and we can, or in the meeting chat, and we can ask those. So I think what we'll do is we'll go through perhaps the ones that Stacey has put on, which has come through as anonymous questions. And the first one is, what would your key message be to individuals who aren't sure about a career in early years? Who would like to take that?
Come and do an early child studies degree.
I love it.
I think your placement experience is huge here, or some voluntary experience. You know, push yourself outside your comfort zone. Very often students will say, I want to go back to my secondary school, my primary school. I want to go back to the nursery. I did it for year 11. Go somewhere new, try something new, work with new people, and not just learning about being in the setting with the children, but find out about their prior experiences and what they've done, would be my advice.
Yes, thank you. Does anyone want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that, if that's all right. This is an important step to take. Working in early years is a huge responsibility. And, the first 5 years of a child's life are their foundation years. So I think, if you're thinking about a career in early years, you're not sure about it, go and find out a little bit more. Go and volunteer, go and visit lots of settings. Each setting will have a different sort of ethos and practice. Go and check out what it is that inspires you. Where do you feel most comfortable? And I think that research is really important. And then, of course, the next step is the follow-up, the training. So do a course. Your placement experiences will really help consolidate, which area that you are sort of most suitable in. As Janet said, it might not be the babies that you enjoy working with, or it might be the older children, or so on. But I think, for anybody thinking about sort of early years practice, it's really important to think about the importance of these first 5 years and the impact that you can have on children's lives and their futures. I always say to my students, think of this as a huge responsibility, because it is. And don't go into it lightly. Don't sort of think, it's how it used to be recognized as something to do with, I don't know what to do with myself, so I'll go into childcare, sort of thing. It's in a huge responsibility, a professional career, as Janet has reinforced many times. And the progression routes are really sort of wide. You can do so much. It's not just one job that you'll be doing. When I started out in my career 20 years ago, I never sort of saw myself as head of education at Montessori Centre International, and here I am. So there are many opportunities that you can explore, but make sure that this is what you want to do.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you. So we have another question here, which is, there is a focus on professional development. How important do you think this is for a well-qualified and quality workforce? I think, yes, Angie, did you want to take that?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that one. And I just think this is, such an important aspect of it, that the journey and my journey, and I can say that I have never stopped learning, and it's a continual path, and you have to take on board that the the world changes, things change, children change, and I think we live and we learn, and I think it's always going to be like that. And I think, you know, that's what pushes you forward, and you can discover so much, and that may then take you down a new path. I mean, my career has gone from various different roles, and I think that's what's so exciting about it. And even at the age that I'm at now, you know, and I'm still going on, and I think that's really important to it doesn't just stop. You don't just have that one career. You will do training, and then that will take you maybe to a new opportunity. So never stop. Never stop.
Did anyone want to add anything there at all?
I'll add a bit. I mean, I can't stress how important, you know, that ongoing and lifelong learning is. You know, professional development is key to any professional career, and it's really important that early years educators recognise themselves for the professionals that they are or going to be, and that comes with that responsibility of that lifelong learning. So continue to learn, continue to develop. You know, I use the term following the child, and, you know, as you've just mentioned, you know, things change, and our children are not the same. You know, the children of 10 years ago to the children of today are very, very different. So if you're going to serve them in the way that they deserve to be served, then we have to make sure that our practice and our own learning is continually developing. So can't stress that enough.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. This one is, I'm worried about making sure that I'm doing the best I can. How do I take care of myself in this profession? Janet, did you want to take it?
Yeah, absolutely. And what a really good question that just actually brings that the importance of reflection, the importance of supervision, the importance of mentoring, and the importance of that nurturing, supportive environment. Self-care and well-being, I know, is critically important and something that's significant to everybody on this call today. And I know that my colleagues in particular have got a great interest in this particular field. So you will, you know, if you're putting the children first, if you're knowledgeable, if you're professional, remember to believe in yourself. People have talked about this, valuing yourself, knowing that you're the right person to do this. You know the children very well. Those are the critical things. Get to know the children that you work with. In terms of yourself, it's very important when you start a career where you're giving such an awful lot of yourself each and every day. It's important that you too have got support. And you'll be managing and coping and dealing sometimes with situations that are challenging. It's important that you've got that team support with you as well. So, you know, make sure that you feel safe, make sure that you feel secure, make sure that you've got those people that you know that you can turn to for that support. But doing the best you possibly can, all you need to ask yourself is, do I know the children that I'm working with? Am I following the child? Preeti talked about that, really important. If you are putting the children first, you're talking to your colleagues, you're respecting the specialisms of other people within your placement and who you work with, you'll be doing a very, very good job indeed. So believe in yourself.
Lovely, thank you, Janet. And then I think there was one more, which was around, can you reflect on any male inspirational students or staff and the differences they've made to the sector and their own career journeys?
I have to just add in here, yeah, definitely. We've got some wonderful conversations with male practitioners on our careers toolkit. I've frozen, haven't I? But hopefully you can still hear me.
Yes.
We have got some lovely reflective journeys from male practitioners on our careers toolkit, and I'll put the link in for those. In my own experiences, every time I've met a male practitioner, I worked with a male practitioner, they have just brought something different to the table, as all of the practitioners do. You can be the quiet practitioner that is really calming, or you can be the one that is rolling all over the floor and lying on your back in the baby room, and I'll let you decide which one I was. But the male practitioners do bring something different, like we all do. But those conversations on the toolkit are from male practitioners, from their perspective, and really, really interesting. So I'll pop those in for that question.
Lovely, thank you very much. Carol has just put into the chat that she had a learner who came to her at level 1 and progressed through to university. He's now a primary school teacher, and she always has him back to speak to her learners. I think that's brilliant. That's really good. Okay, so we are reaching the end of our session this morning. So I'd firstly like to say a very big thank you to our speakers who have joined us today, and it's been so interesting, and I'm sure everyone on the call would agree that, you know, there's such a lot of information being shared today. It's been a very, very good session. So thank you very much. And then to everyone who has joined us today, thank you for coming. We do hope that you've enjoyed the session. I certainly have, and I know that my colleagues have as well. You will see on the screen our email addresses if there is anything that you'd like to pop a question through at all, then please do take those down and send them through, and we'll make sure that we collate any questions that come through and send them out to you again. The recording of this session will be available on the Careers Toolkit area of the website. Yes, thank you. Yes. So please do take a look, and you obviously then anyone who missed any sections at all will be able to pick that up from there. So thank you all for joining us today, and we very much look forward to seeing you again in the spring. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks to all the speakers.